Strip club DJs, what do you have to tell us? I worked as a DJ at a few clubs all owned by one guy. And each one managed by a different person. One club was spotless, like nightly cleaning crew, bar crew kept a tight ship at both bars, champagne room out in the open. Lots of colored lights, and the obligatory black lights, and the security staff wore tuxedos and the girls had actual changing booths to use in the back. High-class joint and it showed. This was a bikini bar, not a strip club, but same vein still. On the other end of the spectrum, the fully nude bar was disgusting. Of the dozen or so times I rotated through that place over like 3 years, I don't think it ever got cleaned. Thankfully, they served beer and water in bottles, and since I worked there, I just grabbed my own, else I'd have never drank anything there. There was a group of girls that would sit on the busted-up chairs in the back between sets, completely naked, shoot up or snort whatever they could find between themselves, and just sit there, blasted out of their gourds staring into space, sometimes drooling. Not joking, actual drool. Yeah, naked or not, that ain't hot. At least once I seriously considered buying a hazmat suit and incorporating it into a set, maybe call myself DJ Biohazard or something. The absolute worst thing I ever saw as a club DJ, possibly in my entire life, happened at this place. The stage was about a 4x4 platform with a little catwalk leading up to it, really narrow. If you sat on one side, you could high-five someone on the other side without stretching too much. The DJ booth was about 10 feet behind all this and off to the side by the bar about 3 feet higher, so security or I could see the whole floor. This one particular girl, tiny little thing, like 4 feet 10 inches or so, had asked for Dragula while she was on stage, and I knew when she was talking to me that was seriously fricked up. To the point where cute doesn't matter anymore, so fricked up. Little did I know. So Rob Zombie's thumping away, and she's on the little catwalk, fully nude by now, with a few guys on each side. She's bent over one, trying to pick up a dollar in her teeth while the guy behind her is getting the full view. Suddenly she grabs out and barely catches the pole as she starts retching all over the dude with the dollar. As he was pretty much directly underneath her head at the time, he did not escape at all. He looked like someone had dumped a bucket of sick on his head. Which was still better than the guys behind the girl. About half a second after she starts puking, the other end erupts. She was Mount Vesuvius spraying diarrhea all over the place. Reverse finger cuffs, projectile style. She even got some all the way up to the front of the DJ booth. She nailed 3 customers and 2 security guys without even looking. I still have problems believing that volume of mass erupted from something so small, had I not seen and smelled it myself. Shudder. Worked in a couple of higher-end strip joints many years ago. One of the problems we had was dancers bringing boyfriends in. Most knew it was best to keep them out. But every once in a while one would get a new guy that would want to see what she was doing. Usually, they would get a few drinks in them and it would go bad. Either they would fight with their girlfriend, or they would get pissed at a customer getting flirty and get into a fight. Or a mix of both. A night where a dancer would bring her BF up to meet me, it added an extra stress layer to the evening. I met a lot of very damaged people in that world. Victims of abuse, mental issues, coping with substances. A lot of well-intentioned, but very screwed up people. Probably who's coming to the stage next. She's new to the club. Fresh in from Oklahoma. Give a big hand to Cinnamon. Give her some love, guys. Cinnamon will be available in the VIP room after the dance for private sessions. Some girls work as waitresses and shooter girls because they want to make the money but they don't want to take off their clothes, so management makes them watch the dancers count their money at the end of the night to help nudge them along to the dark side. I actually applied to be a waitress at a club and the manager said, "Why don't you just dance? You'll make more money." So I did. I was so bad that first night that the DJ didn't put me back on the stage again for the rest of it. No, she doesn't actually like you. But she said so. And she also claimed to be going to law school at the time and was stripping to pay for her tuition. How can that not be true? I dated a girl in law school. She told me one of the girls was discovered stripping at one of the clubs near campus. The school found out and found her scholarships so she wouldn't have to strip. Now I'm sure she's seeing all her former clients but around the divorce table. Not DJ but bouncer. On a few occasions, I had to check if the tampon string was showing before the girl would go do her set. Not a DJ, but I am a stripper, and when I first started working, the club that hired me had me make a list of female names since all their dancers had stage names. Well, the names I had were all taken since over 800 girls work at that club. One of the managers at the club told me that I had better pick my own name, BC if they picked, you might not like what you get. Then he told me a story about a girl who couldn't decide a name and someone had suggested Abreva, the cold sore medication, and this poor girl used Abreva as her stage name for like 2 months, before one of her customers told her what it was. Hairstyle tips on how to tie the mini ponytail behind a bald head? My old coworker at the guitar shop had that hairstyle. He didn't have enough hair up top to grow a mullet anymore, so he called it a skullet. Not a DJ, but here's my best DJ strip club story. When we were 17 we used to go to the one strip club in SF that didn't card at the door. One night we were sitting there when a group of cops walked in. We immediately thought it was a raid and we were going to get arrested. Nope. They were followed by 2 EMTs who went straight to the back room. 5 minutes later they came out with a man on a stretcher who definitely looked dead. Head lolled to the side, oxygen mask on, clearly just had a heart attack or something. Everyone in the club is completely silent, music is off, no dancers on stage as we watch this man get wheeled out who just died in the worst way possible. We're sitting there looking at our feet when the DJ comes onto the mic, says that's right, the lap dances are that good and drops the music. I only worked 3 shifts as the DJ in a pinch but normally worked in the kitchen. Honestly, the thing that surprised me most was how normal the strippers there were as people. Most had their lives together and just soaked up easy money. Sure, there was the occasional hot mess that came through, but there was also one girl I became friends with that was just working to save money for her study abroad master's scholarship. I hope she's doing good now. She was just an overall rad person. Working at a strip club also kinda ruins the allure of strip clubs. Once you're friendly with the girls it really normalizes the whole experience. Naked girls coming back to the kitchen to take a break and not be ogled and have a normal work small talk kinda kills the whole thing. Hey, Amanda, how's school going? Yeah, it's a slow night back here so far but seems like you're doing alright out there. My favorites was hearing them say things like Velp time to go try to get that guy to give me his whole paycheck. Partying with strippers though is usually a lot of fun when they aren't on the clock. Edit, was reading through and saw a lot about the music and remembered my favorite was this girl that was super hot but couldn't dance at all as far as I saw, or maybe she just didn't. She requested Cotton Eye Joe and did the sexy walk to the pole and just grabbed the pole and stuck her ass out and smiled, then turned to the other side of the stage and did the same thing. The whole thing just cracked me up. Story 2, there was this little Russian girl who was an incredibly talented dancer and I'm assuming she was formerly a gymnast. We had a big metal ring hanging from the ceiling and she would climb up there and do her thing, and while she was laying in it, it snapped and fell like 8 feet down onto the stage. I'll never forget watching it in almost slow motion and was very worried she was hurt, but without skipping a beat she was back up and on the pole. I couldn't believe that one and the ring was never put back in after that. DJ'd the singular smallish strip club in my city for one night once. This was maybe 10 to 13 years ago. I worked as a DJ for a company that did weddings and socials primarily, but they also employed the strip club DJ, and the regular guy was taking a weekend off. So they signed me up to fill one of his shifts. The DJ booth was located right in front of the dressing room for the dancers, to act as a deterrent for creeps trying to follow them. The girls would generally come down to the booth, from their rooms in the attached hotel, and give me their short song list about 15 minutes before they start dancing. Then get changed into costume and take the stage. Generally, this was a pretty easy job. Then one of the dancers missed her showtime, then she missed her next dance, generally had 4 dancers, would have a show every half hour, shows were 3 songs long, except the headliner girl who got 4 songs, and her next after that, so, the bar manager told me it was my job to go get her from her room. I walk on up to the room, knock on the door, and the angriest little stripper I've ever seen rips the door open and glares at me. I just say, hey, you've missed a couple dances, manager name, told me to come get you. She responded by telling me to frick off and die, then threw a lamp at me. She showed up for her next dance all smiles and sunshine, like she didn't even remember it happening. Also, the headliner that night tipped me out almost $30 in loonies. She didn't have to, she chose to, which was really cool, and also made me touch her boobs. Because she wasn't happy with her implants and wanted me to give my input. They looked nice, but they were strangely hard firm. Stripper here. One of my favorite DJs of all time was at a very high-end gentleman's club in West Palm. He was always very friendly, and always in a great mood. His name was Jimmy. Once a floor guy told me to watch his moods, and to try to notice the difference of when he was drinking his 5-hour energy shots. It turns out that inside the bottles was not 5-hour energy, but it was in fact his own mix of some kind of liquid and GHB. Yes, he would roofie himself. But only enough to have a good time? Everyone called it his Jimmy Juice. I dated a stripper many years ago, only saw her perform a couple of times. One evening as she's about to start she stopped suddenly, walked up to me, and said, could you do me a favor and make sure my brother and his mates aren't watching please? Sure enough, her brother and 3 of his friends were sitting at a table, has to ask security to escort them outside while she performed and let them back in afterward. Her brother was okay with it but his friends were pissed. Traveling stripper who used to be a porn actress came to the club and did a show. Before her final act, a huge champagne glass-looking thing was brought up on stage and filled with water. Her final act starts with her being in this and moving to the music. Not only was this a strip bar, it was also a totally nude one. So music is going, I'm talking, getting everyone hyped up when she lifts her hip up and squirts water out of her vagina. This girl was shooting streams of water about 6 feet out, then I see guys going over and getting closer so they would be shot in the face with this vaginal spew. People are disgusting. Don't request songs for us to play. And if you do, tip us and expect to wait until a spot opens up an hour plus later for us to play it. You're here for the girls. Not for karaoke. One more thing. She doesn't like you. My old boss was a strip club DJ in college. He said the number of dancers who hit on him so he would give them preferential treatment, shorter songs for lap dances, hype the audience for them, make their rival dancers bomb, ultimately lead him to quit. Don't date a stripper. There's a chance that when you break up, due to not being able to agree on your prenup, she will be the stripper that your two best friends book for your bachelor party. She won't dance for you, so you end up locked in the bathroom while she gives your friends in the clown they have booked a show. And to top it off, your friends will give her a lift with you back to the city, where you'll bump into your current fiancé. She'll break off the wedding, thinking you did stuff with your ex-stripper. Edit 8 hours later, it's a storyline of How I Met Your Mother. People seem to have got the joke, so thought I would clear it up. My roommate was a DJ and I spent a lot of time hanging out with him in the booth. One night a dancer came in with a cup, saying a guy just paid her $100 to piss in a cup so he could drink it. She didn't want to actually do it, so she gave the cup to my friend, who was not the least clean dude I've ever known, and he pissed in it instead and the dude drank it up and loved it. I guess the moral is, don't fricking do that shit. In Canada, please don't throw loonies and toonies directly at the strippers. I was a bouncer, but was covering a DJ shift at the upscale club I worked at, and on a slow Wednesday in the middle of winter, a stunning young woman walked in and asked if we were hiring bartenders. Being the off-season, we weren't. I told her that it just happened to be amateur night, not a lie, actually was, and if she was comfortable, she could pop up on stage, no pressure. She thought about it for a bit and said yeah sure, why not, I already drove here, might as well. That night, club had 6 regulars and all the house mom dancers, but it was a ghost town otherwise. They were all super kind to her, helped get her some shoes and an outfit. They were all so sweet. Comes back up front and we chatted for 25 minutes between sets, joking around about how she never thought she'd be doing this, etc. Really friendly and fun, great sense of humor. I prepped her for what was gonna happen, let her pick her song and all that, calmed the obvious nerves. Right before she goes up, I ask what her stage name is and she says haha, didn't even think about that. Make something up for me. I told her that was a bad idea, but she was already about 5 steps away. Alright gents, you're in luck because it's amateur night. So I want you to give a warm welcome to our newest dancer. It's her first time ever. Coming to stage next, the beautiful, the incomparable, the unforgettable Fellatio. And I held the O out like I was Michael Buffer. The regulars all got a chuckle out of it, the dancers were staring at me wide-eyed in disbelief, and the new girl was laughing her ass off on the catwalk. She starts yelling no. No. I don't like that, something else. Through the laughter. Oh, that's no good? Alright, step back off, let me bring you back on. Alright dudes, quit jerking your gherkins and slap those dick mitts together, because coming up next we've got Puss. Everyone let out a huge laugh at that one, including her, and she shrugged and hit the stage. She was a big hit, a natural talent at it. She didn't keep that as her stage name and I don't remember what she changed it to, but that's what I called her the rest of the time she worked there, and we joked about it a lot. She only stayed for about 4 months, but was one of the highest earners in the club in that time. On her last day she thanked me for making that first night so much fun and making her feel comfortable about everything. Even still. Never let the DJ pick your name.